All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Wednesday, August 20th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. And this is All In Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. Before I start the day off, today is a very significant day in terms of people on this podcast. It is my girlfriend's birthday today. So happy birthday to Kay. Monday meant nothing. Wednesday means everything. But yeah,
almost
double
lost
dipping.
your co-host.
Do what now?
Let's just throw that right out there. Almost lost your co-host today.
Yeah. He got really butthurt over a joke that I made. But yeah, no, he's just
lack of appreciation.
One of those liberal snowflakes over there, just all sensitive and gets their butt hurt. But no, happy birthday to the love of my life. But yeah, double dipping on both loves of my life on this podcast. In terms of birthdays, just one Wednesday, one Monday. I don't know what's next, Friday or what, but yeah. So, but
we know why you chose her. It was familiar. Birthday wise.
What is the astrology? What is that?
I don't know what sign August is. I'm not exact. Believe it or not, I'm not exactly a guy into astrology
or something like that. I don't know.
Something. Just astronomers.
Yeah, something about
Copernicus, something like that.
Space and Neptune. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, no, today's episode, we got a fun one for you today. Basically going to be talking a little bit about Chris Del Conte's pending extension is probably the better way to go about that. Mack Daddy Brown visits campus and talks to the Texas Longhorns during their practice session. And then Jake and I, we're going to kind of go over and give a brief review over the SEC documentary that was released on Netflix. Jake, were you able to finish it?
Yeah, I finished it before you, technically.
Oh, so okay. Yeah, I finished it like over the weekend, but I thought the last episode was pretty lame. So, I mean, if you want to watch 6 episodes.
The second to the last episode felt like the last episode.
Yeah, they should have just ended it at episode 6. There's no reason for the 7th episode.
Yeah, spoiler alert to our review. I thought the first six episodes were great, and then the 7th episode was just like kind of forced.
Pointless. I mean, it was like, oh, cool, Tennessee made the playoffs. Let's do an episode on them, and then they got their ass beat. So I don't. There was really
didn't have like much inside stuff on that as others. That was a miss.
And then they kind of went with Shane Beamer kind of bitching and moaning about not getting into the playoffs, where everybody kind of knew South Carolina was not going to make the playoffs. And yeah, it was just, they could have done without the last episode. But I did really like the first 6 episodes. I thought were enlightening. It was kind of a cool inside look at some of these coaches on a personal level, but also how they run their programs and the differences of philosophy that they go about, whether that be, I'm a strict, like, this is a business. I thought Brian Kelly was very like business oriented. This is football. This is a program. Doesn't really like dive into like the personal aspect of it. It seems like in terms of like with his players and whatnot. I could be off base on that, but at least that's what I got out of the documentary. The Weeks brothers are awesome at LSU. I can't wait to see all 3 of them on the field at the same time this year. That's going to be really cool if the freshmen can get on board. But yeah, I'm kind of out on Brian Kelly though. I didn't. Here's what I told Jake halfway through it. I said, Steve Sarkisian, and obviously Texas, but how about we just take the bias of fandom away from Texas? Steve Sarkisian could recruit me to the University of Miami of Ohio if I was a 5-star recruit. Like, he could recruit me to Toledo, and I would be like, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to follow Steve Sarkisian wherever I go. Shane Beamer, same way. Maybe even Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. Loved what he's got going on over there. But Brian Kelly, I don't think he could recruit me if he was the head coach at Texas, and Texas was my favorite program.
No, his personality is just not a match for LSU. I mean, I kind of talked about it in our interview with Pete Sosa, that it made me like him less, and I already did not like him. But just also I like him less because what's he doing at LSU? It'd be like if I was living in California, I just wouldn't fit in.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't fit in, and he should have stayed at Notre Dame. Though I'm sure Notre Dame's glad he's gone because they have a much better coach now, Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Sam Pittman as a person seemed nice. Like, at least, like, Brian Kelly didn't impress me from a human standpoint, from a coach standpoint, from anything. Sam Pittman is at least like seems like a nice guy as a football coach. I don't
think there's much going on up there. In the football brain.
I don't think there's many X's and O's going on in his brain.
I'll say Jeff Lebby from Mississippi State. I thought he was impressive in terms of, I loved what he said to his locker room. And he said, guys, I feel sorry for you guys because you guys are the foundation of what is being built right now. And y'all are on the bottom of it. And you're not going to experience the victories and the success that you guys are going to create for this program. And I thought that was, I got chills just repeating it just now. Like, that's such a real, authentic way to speak to your players. I think I hope nothing but the best for Jeff Lebby and that Mississippi State program.
Yeah, and that's a tough program to turn around, but you feel like he has the right attitude from the limited amount that we saw. But I was impressed by him. Like you said, Clark Lee stock up a lot. I mean, people can sit there and go, why is he saying that when he's at Vanderbilt? Well, that's how you have to think to turn things around. And last year was one of their best seasons ever, beating Alabama at home. They almost came back against Tech. They made that game uncomfortable when it shouldn't have been. And
they were up 14-0 early against Tennessee on the season closer.
Yeah. And so the attitude of that program kind of changing around Clark Lee. And then obviously Diego Bavia has a very similar mindset to his coach, and it comes off as arrogant, but it's better than just going, well, we're Vanderbilt, we're going to lose.
Oh, right. Exactly. I was going to ask you, what's your take on Diego Pavia? The personality, everything.
I like the personality in the show. I think it's stupid what he did this offseason going on the press tour that he did, because that was unnecessary. The show, he's part of it. Vanderbilt agreed to it. Be cocky. You got to be a little bit of a psychopath to be his size and be as good of a football player as he is objectively in college. I mean, I don't think he's going to have a pro career or anything, but he's a very good college quarterback. He's proven that because wherever he goes, he wins overall.
He's had success.
Yeah, he's had success. I mean, beating Auburn at New Mexico State, and that New Mexico State team was really good, especially on offense. And so, I mean, I liked him in the show more than I liked him this offseason, because this offseason, it's almost like you're going out there and putting a target on your back when you're with Vanderbilt, versus on the show, you're exuding confidence within a season.
To me, it is more so like Vanderbilt should be that underdog story of like, no one's really expecting you and you can kind of creep up on people. He is now given just about every team in the SEC bulletin board material to where it's like, we're going to shut this guy up. We're going to shut Vanderbilt down, and we're going to shut down any type of momentum they have going into this season, building off of last season. Because you know what it kind of reminds me of? Dan Lanning's Oregon taking on Deion Sanders' Colorado for the first time in the Pac-12. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit. It feels a little bit like that this summer. I don't think it came off that way in the show, because you're in season. You got to have that kind of attitude.
I don't mind his swagger. I think I would like it if it was on my team, going against my team and against a conference opponent. It's like, God, I kind of just want him to get smacked around a little bit. But again, I feel like you have to have that mindset, especially at Vanderbilt, to have any type of success.
Yeah. And then the other two names you touched on, Shane Beamer, also one of the big winners of this show. I already kind of liked him at South Carolina.
Yeah.
Just learning more about him and just kind of seeing how he runs the program. And
I love that he stays true to his dad and like respects his dad's
He doesn't
legacy.
hide that, but he also acknowledges that he wants to make his own legacy. Yeah. And I think he finds a really good balance. That is a tough place to be in when you are the son of a very famous coach.
Yep.
And then I think you said Mike Elko as well.
I put in I haven't mentioned Mike Elko, but yeah,
just objectively, I know everyone's going to want to trash on him on this podcast or just viewers of this podcast, but it kind of affirmed what I'd already kind of said on my thoughts on Mike Elko, which is A&M hired a real football coach.
Mhm.
Whether it works out, we don't know yet. But he is not someone, and he is not Jimbo.
Yeah.
He is an actual football coach.
He is actually, in my opinion, more of the outlier of an old school football coach. He's very much like 7 days a week. You're going to eat, breathe, sleep, live football, and you're going to bust your ass. And where our success is going to come is by beating the opponent physically and out hustling them and having more heart, more drive, more effort than your opposition. And, you kind of saw it in the Texas A&M game where Texas probably, you look at stats, you just watch the game, and the feel of the game should have been 35-0. And at the end of the day, you go back and look at that game, that's kind of how it felt like. The game was only 17-7. They only, lost by 10 points. I think it was kind of that mindset that Elko is already kind of shifting into the culture of, we're just going to outwork people. We're just going to be, just dogs out there. And that's kind of the identity of what this A&M team, I think, is going to be this upcoming season under Elko.
Yeah, I think a lot of Texas fans forget, just because Texas did dominate that game from a statistical standpoint, from a physicality standpoint. But I think a lot of people forget. I don't forget, because I was texting you some outrageous things, melting down. That was my meltdown game of the year, where I had a full-fledged meltdown.
You couldn't handle the possible comeback.
It was the pick six put me in a bad place mentally.
Well, and then the fumble to follow that also.
And then the fumble and the red zone, I was just like, this is just something bad's going to happen. And obviously the defense stood up and stopped that from happening. But it does go to show, I think some A&M teams under Jimbo, under someone, they would have sold during that game in the second half, and they would have lost by 30 plus.
Yeah.
Elko, yes, they got beat physically. So, the physical, but Texas was just a better team. They were a better roster. But A&M's fight kind of kept that game closer than it should have been, because that game should have been 31-0 at a minimum. But kind of A&M being pesky and not going away in that game and finding some turnovers. Granted, you could say the fumble wasn't that for it, but it doesn't matter. They made the plays that were there and kind of kept them in it. And so A&M will be an interesting team to see how they're doing in the SEC this year, because I think that last game at the end of the year could have big implications again, just like last year, which is crazy to think about that game, potentially having SEC championship type implications 2 years in a row. I don't think any of us even expected it year one.
Yeah. And lastly, Jake, before we switch topics here, I'm 50-50 on Billy Napier. I really don't know. I like the direction and where Florida was headed at the end of the season. Can they carry it over from the offseason into this new season? Can DJ Lagway be healthy and be the stud that he was at the end of last year whenever he was on the field? I like it, but man, if Florida starts slow this year, they're going to be in big trouble. They've got to start this season how they ended last season, and it's got to be playing better football than they were. And I think you will then get the support of the Florida fans. You'll get the belief of the team, and everything else will kind of follow suit for the Florida Gators. But man, if they have a rough patch or they fall a couple games early before even the Texas game, it might be a very weird year for Billy Napier and the Florida Gators.
Yeah, I mean, his seat is, everyone assumed he was fired last year.
Right.
He was dead man walking when it came to what people thought. And the reason he didn't get fired was because A, they ended the season well. But then B, they decided, instead of forking, and I think we're going to see this more and more in college football with NIL, instead of fundraising all this money to fund a gigantic buyout and start over, they said, well, they ended the year strong. Let's just try to make this roster as good as we can and fundraise more NIL and try to stack this roster.
And here's the thing. If you give him the best roster and he still can't succeed, you then know you can fire him and leave nothing else on the table.
Yeah, and then from that point, the buyout's smaller, at least by 1 year.
Sure.
And so it's kind of I think Florida made the right decision doing that. And they should start out the year well with their first 2 games because they play Long Island, which again, didn't know they had a football team, and then South Florida, who's not terrible, but a game they should win. But after that, they're at number 9 LSU, at number 10 Miami, home against number 1 Texas, at number 19 A&M. So 3 out of 4 games against top 19 opponents on the road, 2 of them in the top 10, and their 1 home game during that stretch, against the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing though, Jake, if they win 2 of those 4 games, you have to feel good. You got to feel good about that. I mean, you go 500 within that 4-game stretch, you feel pretty good about where you're at. And I think you can beat Miami. I think they can beat LSU, but you can beat Miami. You can beat A&M. Like, you could win 3 out of those.
They can win any of those games because Texas is at home and the Swamp's not going to be an easy place to play.
Especially, Jake, here's the scenario. Florida wins Miami or wins LSU, and they've got that type of momentum going into the Texas game. Say they're undefeated going into the Texas game. You don't think that fan base, that place is going to be crazy?
It would be it would probably be College game day.
Yeah.
And it would just be it's going to be a crazy atmosphere no matter what. But
they go into that game undefeated after beating an LSU, after beating a Miami, going in and hosting Texas. That game is going to be hostile.
Especially those two games that they would have won being on the road and then getting their first like big game at home.
Yeah.
Because Long Island and South Florida, their only home games before that.
Texas is hoping that they drop one of those 2 games, preferably the Miami game, or I don't know, maybe LSU.
Yeah, I mean, you probably hope they drop LSU, so they're dropping a conference game.
Yeah.
LSU, you don't play, so however it works out, but you probably hope they drop a conference game more than anything. Sure. But yeah, it's going to be, Florida's going to have an interest because, like you said, I'm 50-50 on Napier after watching it because he didn't come off bad. He just didn't come off great. He kind of came off as a little bit awkward. And I get it.
And that's kind of the team. That's kind of the Florida Gators. They're kind of a little awkward.
Yeah,
a little weird
team to talk about because you're like, well, they very talented, young, one of the more young, talented quarterbacks in the nation that looked really good last year. You feel like they have good running backs, one of the better offensive lines. Defensively, they should be improved from last year. But then you look at their schedule, and it gets real awkward to talk about them being a playoff team because it's hard to imagine them not losing at least 3 games. They have 7 ranked games based off the preseason polls, and they play 4 of the top 10 teams in the nation.
And we already talked about how 3 of those were on the road. Yeah,
3 of them, or 2 of the 4 on the road for top 10 teams.
Okay.
LSU, Miami, they get Georgia, or Georgia is neutral field.
So they don't even get them at home.
It's not even a real home game.
Yeah.
Which they split the field the wrong way, and it's not even close to Texas OU, by the way. But
whoever decided that that's the way to split the stadium is that's very bizarre to me.
That's how most, right? I mean, I think Texas
vertically is very weird. And yeah, I know Texas OU, I think, is the only unique one where it's end zone, which makes
it's so much
1,000
better.
More sense. Yeah.
The players talking about running out of the tunnel where you go for Longhorn players, you go from boos to cheers, and for OU. And I watched it from like a GoPro from a Texas player's helmet, and it's just all you can hear is boos. Then all you can hear is crazy cheers. You can't beat that environment.
No. All right, Jake. But yeah, anything else on SEC documentary? I mean, I think that kind of covered it.
It is a lot of fun. Like you said, go watch the first 6 episodes. You can honestly skip the 7th unless you just really want to watch it. I mean, it's still football. You can watch it and enjoy because it's football, but it compared to the other 6 episodes, it just felt out of place. It felt like a bad epilogue.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute episode of Shane Beamer complaining that they didn't make the playoffs, and another 15 minutes of Josh Heupel sort of kind of allowing them access to see what Tennessee's doing, but not really. And then and then they just get their ass beat by Ohio State. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, that was that episode.
It was pointless.
Yeah. They didn't even die because Georgia, they didn't follow Georgia's run. They didn't follow Texas's run. they didn't follow the actual runs from the SEC teams in the playoffs. And so it just kind of was like, that's it. It's like, okay, cool. All right, next. But anyway, yeah, I liked it. Overall, I give the first 6 episodes an A. I give the last episode an F, balance it out to an A-, and yeah, there's your show. So, all right, let's go ahead. Chris Del Conte, Jake, the powers that be board approval is looking at extending Chris Del Conte through 2036. That would give him another 11 years as the athletic director at the University of Texas. I said that's too short. I said a lifetime contract would be probably more beneficial. But again, I don't make those decisions. I'm not on the board of anything at Texas. But good news to see that they're trying to get ahead of this and just go ahead and lock him down for the next decade.
I imagine this was already kind of verbally talked about between the parties too, since SMU was trying to come in and throw some money at Chris Del Conte. I imagine there was some discussions of, hey, we're going to extend you for a long time, give you a raise, because obviously there's a raise involved in this, well-deserved raise at that. And yeah, worth every penny, worth every year. They're adding on to this. Nothing but good things have happened to the athletic program since he came in, whether it be expansions to stadiums, remodeling certain parts,
President's Cups.
Yeah. The President's Cups, the coaching hires, they're going to real grass. People always will complain at him on X, the everything app, about when's the real grass coming. He's like, we just finished a multi-$100 million end zone expansion. Grass is coming in 2020. I think it's next season. Grass is going to be in DKR. So, but everyone's always, why can't we do it now? And then he'll put a donation link, which I love that he's like, hey, you can make it happen faster.
Yeah, let's make it happen faster. You want to throw, $100 our way?
Going to complain about it? Here you go.
Yep.
Here's the link.
See, and he's the type of person like me. Well, this is like work life. This, sort of thing. People can bitch and moan all they want and complain and complain and complain. Don't come to me with problems. Just how about a solution to a problem, or a hypothetical solution that we can move forward, which would be a donation to the athletic department to get grass into the stadium.
Yeah, people love to complain about it, and I want real grass at DKR too, but he decided to focus on updating the facilities and the stadium first, and I'm okay with that because guess what? That's how you get recruits in and making the environment awesome.
So the recruits will not look at turf versus grass. They are going to look, oh, you got a brand new locker room for me? Okay, dope. I'm in. Like, that's just what they're
or when they visit the game and see the awesome environment that DKR has become. Every recruit that goes to a Texas game now talks about how incredible the environment was. It wasn't that way before Chris Del Conte. It was a country club atmosphere.
First time we really experienced it. I think we saw a little bit of a difference, or you saw a difference when you went to the Texas USC game. And then I think the very first time I was like, this team's SEC ready, was the home game against Alabama. And Bama players were like, yeah, that environment was actually pretty sick. Like, they were
multiple
loud.
Of them that were juniors, seniors. I think Will Anderson was one of them. Were like, that was the loudest environment I've ever played at.
Yeah. So,
and they don't just say that about every place. In fact, most of the time players are crap talking the crowds.
Right. And I haven't been with when was the last time I went? Did I see a game with the new renovation on the end zone? I don't know if I have.
I think you went to one. I think it was against one of the cupcake teams.
Okay.
But I think you've been to one. I haven't been to it yet. I've been to several road games.
It was renovated. Yeah.
I've been to several road games, but not a game in Austin.
Yeah, I think I went to been to TCU.
Which I want to go to a game in Austin this year, but honestly, the home games suck this year. Other than I don't want to go see Arkansas play again.
It's A&M.
It's A&M, and those tickets are crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna spend $1,000 per ticket probably. So
500 starting at 562.
See, the OU tickets started at like $800. I'm like, please go down by the time the Red River game comes.
They're starting at 541. Typically, ticket prices will come down, especially, of course, the Texas side is always more expensive than the Oklahoma side, and you have to sit on the Texas side.
I'm not sitting on the OU side.
I've been to one Texas OU game. Is because my buddy, who is an OU fan, who had tickets, took me. So I was in the middle of just nothing but
I
red.
saw that reminds me of it was during the SEC documentary where the Longhorn fan is in the middle of the Aggies while they're sawing off the horns, and he's just
I think Chris Del Conte found him and gave him like a care package of being like, yeah,
love it.
you're awesome.
You're a true fan. Love it. Last thing we want to talk about, Jake, Mack Daddy Brown visits practice, goes on campus. He's actually in the Austin area now. Since he's not coaching, he actually lives in Austin. And so he came down to Longhorn camp, talked to the team, talked to the players, and Steve Sarkisian talked about it in a post-practice press conference. Just said, hey, we will always have Mack Brown has a open invitation. Anytime he wants to stop by, he can. And apparently Mack Brown has a really good rapport with a lot of the players on the team and carries conversations with them. And all the guys are comfortable talking with them and asking him for advice. And he's a wealth of knowledge, willing to share whatever he can about football and about playing at the University of Texas. And I just think having somebody like that, and again, Sark does such a great job of bringing past legends of the University of Texas and integrating them into the present program to make players really feel that history. When it's accessible like that, it's a little bit different. Whenever it feels like it's closed off, it's like you can't even reach out to a former player or a former coach that is a Longhorn legend. But Sark has done such a great job of allowing those types of guys to be a part of the program still. And so we'll always love Mack Brown. Will always be one of my favorite college football coaches of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he won a national championship at Texas. That's just an automatic. You're one of my favorites of all time. But it was cool just seeing the picture of Mack Brown and Sark together. And hopefully that's a picture we look back on and, a decade, 20 years, whatever it is, and be going, wow, there's the two best coaches by far of our lifetimes that brought national titles to Texas. I don't want to disrespect Darrell K. Royal or anyone. I know we might upset some older heads
lifetime
of our generation that brought national championships to Texas, and so hopefully that'll be a picture that kind of lives in history for a long time somewhere down the road.
And I want to end the episode, Jake, but this question just popped up. We talked about the ceiling of Arch Manning yesterday's episode. We're about to do prediction episodes. All next week is all prediction episodes. Next week, starting on Tuesday, we've got the Longhorn season prediction. Wednesday, we've got the SEC season prediction. Thursday, we've got the entire four Power Four conference prediction going into the playoff predictions. And then Friday, we'll give a breakdown of the Texas-Ohio State game and give our predictions for week 1 and for the Texas-Ohio State game. That's all next week. We talked about the ceiling of Arch Manning yesterday. What do you think the ceiling for Steve Sarkisian and his tenure here at Texas?
I mean, hopefully staying and not going to the NFL after winning a national championship or two. But I mean, his ceiling is winning multiple national titles. I don't know what that number is. It's just hard to say when you don't know if he's going to stay. You don't know.
Saban, Bear Bryant, they're like, I mean, the goats of college football, and they've won 6? I think Saban has 6 national titles.
Yeah, and I'm not going to jump out and just say, oh, his ceiling is win. I just don't. That article that kind of went around recently that everyone knows is Texas, the new Alabama, the Athletic posted it. I don't care about stuff like that because it's just a bunch of rubbish to get clicks. It's essentially rage bait. And it works really well because you put Texas in there, or if you put the Cowboys are going to win the next 3 Super Bowls, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit there and say his ceiling is being the greatest coach in college football history when he hasn't won one yet. But I do think his ceiling is at least winning, 2 national, or he can for sure get to, 2 or 3 national titles at Texas as far as when you talk about a ceiling. But the ceiling can be higher than that if he stays. He's young.
Yeah.
Nick Saban didn't win his first national title until his 50s or 60s.
He was like 50 or something. Yeah. Yeah.
And so his ceiling is winning multiple national titles. It's just a question of what that number is. And a lot of different things tie into that. How long he stays, does he go to the NFL? Because people will go, well, Nick Saban is his mentor, and Nick Saban didn't do well in the NFL, and
That doesn't matter.
no, well, also, who else is his mentor? Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Guess what Pete Carroll did? Won multiple national titles at USC, went and won a Super Bowl in the NFL.
Yep.
So if you want to bring up Nick Saban as the mentor reason why he went to go to the NFL, don't forget about probably the most successful coach of all time when it comes from winning at the college and the NFL level.
And who kind of has that same tree, and I'm going to go way back on you, is Ed Ogeron was with Jimmy Johnson back at Miami, and then Ed Ogeron went to USC and was at under Pete Carroll around the same time Steve Sarkisian was. They were on the same coaching staff, and then he goes off and wins a national title with LSU. But it's just amazing the coaching trees that you can kind of go down. And then obviously Jimmy Johnson won national titles at college, won Super Bowls in the pros with the Dallas Cowboys, and a very similar journey as a Pete Carroll did or whatnot. But anyway,
by the way, I looked it up real quick. Nick Saban was 52 when he won his first national title. Steve Sarkisian is 51, and he will turn 52 right after the season.
He's 51?
Yeah, I thought he was like in his 40s.
I thought he was like 41, 42.
Yeah, he looks good for his age, but yeah, he's 51.
Hey, I had no idea he was 50.
And so technically, even if he won a national championship, if he won a national championship this season, when they won the national title, he would still be 51. So he'd actually win his first one before Saban won his first one. Hey. If they won this year, which is ironic because I have said for several years now, I think 2026 is the year.
Yeah.
So he would be winning his first in 52. Hopefully that'll be winning his second. And then he'll just be ahead of pace.
You and I have been pretty adamant about this 2026 team coming up. And we're really excited about that. But anyway, 2025 Texas is number one team in the country, and it's really hard not to be excited about this year's team with Arch at the helm. So, all right, Jake, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. That's going to do it for Wednesday's episode. Stay tuned for tomorrow, Friday. Remember, next week, we move to our Tuesday through Saturday schedule because that'll be officially game week. Oh, we got games this week, Jake. We're a few days away from college football. I mean, it's not like the best of games, but we have a ranked game in Dublin.
We got a ranked conference matchup.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for in week 0? I think K-State, Iowa State, I am very excited to watch.
Yeah, I think Fresno State and Kansas, I'm actually pretty up.
That's a fun game.
I mean, that's going to be a fun game.
Justice Finkley, he's one of the captains at Kansas, nice. Got named as a captain, which is not surprising to any Longhorn fan that happened, even though he was a transfer there. So yeah, I think the week 0 games this year are a lot of fun. Just because last year Florida State, Georgia Tech didn't really have buzz because people thought Georgia Tech wasn't going to be good. Spoiler alert: Florida State was atrocious. Yeah. And so I don't think K-State,
probably not a very good football program either.
Who?
Florida Tech is probably not good.
Florida. That sounds like someone A&M would schedule.
That was a good one. Week 10. It would be like later on in the season. It would be that one of those weird,
or really any of the SEC teams. Yeah, that week 10 game or whatever the hell it is, where it's like we're playing the blind school of the Citadel.
They have to have a beeping football out there just for them to be able to play the game. So, all right, man, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Remember, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hey, we're approaching 800. We're getting there. We are closer than we were yesterday on the subscriptions. One by one, each subscription helps. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, especially if you made it this far into the episode. There's no reason for you not to subscribe to the channel and get daily content for all things Texas Longhorns. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.